Sorry, microphone wasn't on. So, folks, today is the 22nd anniversary of the September 11th attacks, and I want to discuss, besides commemorating it today, also kind of address the right-wing discourse that goes on, especially in recent years, of how exactly should we view September 11th and its legacy as conservatives and kind of as a movement that once believed everything that was told to us by a lot of institutions, by President Bush, by a lot of people like that. How should we view it now? I want to address that. Also, the governor of New Mexico has suspended the Second Amendment single-handedly. No joke about that. California is now passing a law that basically says if you don't affirm your kid's quote-unquote gender identity, that can be used against you in divorce courts. Got to talk about that. RFK calling out Joe Biden and a few other stories to discuss tonight on The Vince Dow Show. Stay tuned. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. It is September 11th, the year of our Lord 2023. I am your host, Vince Dow, and welcome everyone to the Vince Dow Show. Before we begin tonight, as usual, everyone be sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and of course, if you do have thoughts, especially in our opening discussion here, because I can imagine it will be a little bit contentious, feel free to send in your thoughts and support the show via the super chats. I'll be checking the super chats periodically throughout the night. And of course, as usual, we have our Q&A portion at the end. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys had a great weekend. We open tonight, obviously, on the anniversary of September 11th, which some of you guys, I did a poll today. I guess my audience must be getting older, or I'm just still a baby. I did a poll today asking if you guys were alive to remember, not just alive, but alive to remember 9/11. And I think it was like 70% said, actually, you guys do vividly remember 9/11, which is crazy because I wasn't even born yet. I was born about a year and a half after 9/11. But anyways, regardless, today we do commemorate and remember the lives lost. And obviously, I'm going to open by saying that, right? And I think also, truly, one of the aspects, I guess, of this day we can always unite behind are remembering the true stories of heroism and bravery displayed by many great Americans that day. And I think, look, we're going to have a discussion tonight about certain things and however you actually do feel about what happened that day. I think one thing no one can take from us, be that Middle Eastern terrorist groups or the U.S. government or other non-governmental agencies, whatever it is, right? What nobody, I think, can take from the American spirit are the very real memories, the very real stories of, the firefighters who ran into the World Trade Center that day, the people on Flight 93 that sacrificed to, make sure, well, you know what I mean, right? And I think amidst everything else, right, those always ought to be remembered as true, honorable stories of sacrifice, oftentimes a masculine sacrifice of men, putting aside their very lives to serve others and to rescue others and to help fellow Americans, right? And so, obviously, tonight we have, of course, opened by remembering all the lives that are lost, commemorating that, and never forgetting the stories of the heroes of that day. Okay? So, obviously, I'm not here to virtue signal about whatever, but every 9/11, we are obviously going to say that and going to remember that. Now, with that said, I want to address this because every year 9/11 becomes a more and more contentious day on the right wing, and I think it's understandable because the further we go from the sheer memory of what happened, like I said, here I am, conservative political commentator. I wasn't even alive that day. And the more we now kind of recognize all of the political and social fallout of what happened since, you do kind of get nowadays in the conservative movement two pretty polarly opposite factions of conservatism when it comes to discussing the anniversary of what happened today. Because on one side, you have the side of conservatism that basically wants us to talk about 9/11 like it is still September 11th, 2002, right? Like this still just happened and we're still living in the Bush presidency. And so people always want to bring up the talk of, don't politicize it. It's a memorial occasion. That's all it ought to be. And this whole day needs to only be about patriotism and, standing up to the bad guys who obviously don't want the United States to exist or succeed or whatever it is. And that's basically all they want us to say. Wave the flag, remember the fallen, go fight the terrorist. And that's what 9/11 to one faction of the conservative movement, always they want that to be remembered as, right? And then on the other side, you have the side that increasingly, and like I said, I think it goes up every single year, of people who use the platform in the day in the memory of 9/11 to vocalize their distrust of the government and everything that has happened since. Okay? So tonight I want to open by addressing sort of where I stand on that entire debacle and question. And just to keep it relatively YouTube friendly here, okay, let me be clear by saying this in the beginning. I'm not here in this stream to go down the route of certain 9/11 conspiracy theories, considering the platform we are on, right? Now, I will say I do believe you are free to have your own opinion. I have mine, but we're not here to talk about or entertain that or to address that. And, we're only going to run with the facts that we know or were told, right, about that entire day. And that's all we're going to say about that, okay? However, what I will say in the context of this debate is that it is an objective fact. And when we talk about the legacy of this day, I don't think we can separate the two, right? That the government did use the shock and the horror and the grief and the all very real emotions of September 11th, 2001 to sell us blatant lies. And we can't pretend, I don't think, again, 22 years later, it's not like this just happened yesterday. I don't think at this point we really can have a reasoned discussion on 9/11 without bringing this up. I don't know if that's, you can call it unpatriotic, unclassy. I will mention those talking points in a second. But it is worth noting in the context of history that instead of using September 11th as a chance to, strengthen our immigration policy, right? Crack down on some of the very immigration policies that brought the hijackers into the United States, or even to spend the full might of military resources going after the people who, we were told attacked the very World Trade Center to begin with. Instead, they did use it as a power grab, as an excuse to invade another country in Iraq that had nothing to do with the attacks, simply because there's a geopolitical rivalry there. And as you know, historically, the Bushes kind of had a back and forth there, right? They also used it, and perhaps this is even more important in the context of American politics, to build a massive national security state, a surveillance state, that is now being weaponized against who? Is it being weaponized against terrorists? Is it being weaponized against, agents in other countries who want to subvert or take down the United States? No, it's being weaponized against the patriots of this country. And if you're a conservative, you know all about that, right? And I do think this needs to be brought up. I do think that this needs talking about, again, 20 years later. We're over 20 years later now, so it matters. When we talk about the history and the legacy of this day, it is worth noting that these things did indeed happen, and that we were lied to in the wake and in the aftermath of that day by our own government. And I don't think it is patriotic to simply ignore that simply because we want to feel good, right? Feel the same kind of unity maybe we felt a few decades ago. And of course, people will say, but this is unclassy because it's disrespectful to the victims to have this discussion, right? They will say that, you know, just don't bring this up. It's not the day, it's not the time. And don't get me wrong, I think perhaps, like I said, if this were September 11, 2002, you'd have a point. I don't think that would be respectful at the time. I think even perhaps you can make an argument that the Michael Moore documentary in 2004, right before the election, maybe even that was a bit soon. You could make that argument. But at this point, again, now that we have the hindsight of everything that happened, I honestly say, of what greater dishonor is it to the victims, to the Americans who lost their lives, and like I brought up in the beginning of the show, the heroes who sacrificed themselves for what they thought was, you know, trying to ultimately not just save other Americans, but save the nation, save the republic, right? Save the honor of our country. To what greater dishonor is it to them that the U.S. government, again, instead of going after, spending the full might of their military resources and surveillance and all of that to go after the very people who did 9/11, that they instead, like I said, used the outrage and the aftermath of that to instead invade a totally different country and waste a bunch of American and Iraqi lives for something that had absolutely nothing to do with September 11th. What greater dishonor could it be to the people who lost their lives that day than that? That instead of focusing our military resources in Afghanistan, which we probably could have had that whole ordeal done a lot better if not for the fact that most of the resources there were going to where? Iraq, a totally different and unrelated war. You want to say it's disrespectful for me to bring this up? Say, hey, the U.S. government literally is basically spitting on the very victims of this attack to begin with. That, to me, is just not a good argument, right? I feel like it is our duty, again, to the memory of what happened that day, to bring up these facts, to point this out. And this is putting aside any so-called, you know, certain things, right? That, you know, probably not the best discussion to have on YouTube. Okay? And how disrespectful is it to the victims, which, again, we were told, right, sacrificed for America? And what did George Bush say after 9/11? He said something which was very silly. This was not true. But he said something along the lines of, well, the reason why those terrorists attacked the United States is because they hate our freedom, they hate our Constitution, and they hate our values. That's what we were told. Now, there's an argument to be made that's not true at all. In fact, the very attack, according to what we know and are told, was incited by a decade of reckless U.S. foreign policy, which I think also deserves talking about if we want to talk about how to not allow something like that to happen again. Regardless. Okay, let's just stay focused on where we are. Instead of, you know, we were told, okay, it's about freedom. They attacked us because of our freedom. And then what did the United States do? Like I said, implement a national surveillance state, unprecedented levels, grew all of these big spy agencies that are now being used to what? Crack down on the civil liberties and the freedoms and the rights of Americans. I thought we were attacked because of our freedom. I thought that's what we were defending. Maybe that was true, maybe that wasn't, but the U.S. government literally used it against us, against the Americans, against the people who were attacked that day, not the people who, according to them, did the attack, right? So I do think that this all needs to be talked about as a side note to the main memory of 9/11, which obviously is more important. So this is all to say, Vince, where do you really stand on the, you know, discourse over this in terms of the Again, the conservative camp who wants to make this super like it's 2002, and then the other conservative camp who really wants to make it super 2023. I think that it is fair to have a nuanced discussion about the memory of this day, about the legacy of this day, okay? I like I said, 22 years later, I don't think that that we still have to self-censor ourselves into the point where it's like we can't call out the very shady and wrongful things that the government used the tragedy of 9/11 to do. In fact, like I said, I think it is our patriotic duty as Americans, as people who love, I don't know, American values, whatever, and our patriotic duty to the Americans who lost their lives to point these things out, right? So that's the way I see it. The way I see it is every time I call out a U.S. government lie in the wake of 9/11, I am not dishonoring the victims who fell that day. I'm actually doing it for them because people did lose their lives. It's a very tragic, horrible thing. It can't happen again. It shouldn't be allowed to happen again. And yet, instead, right, the U.S. government just did a bunch of nonsense that very well, A, doesn't actually bring justice to the people who lost their lives. And then even beyond that, B, does not ensure that something like this doesn't happen again, right? Because honestly, think about this in hindsight a little bit. You look at something like the invasion of Iraq, for instance. I'll bring that up as one of my examples, right? We're lucky that something serious didn't happen again. But who is to say? Right? Because if you know the history of why Osama said he did 9/11, and by the way, I'm not arguing, I'm not here to, justify any of his actions. Obviously, it was abhorrent and wrong, and he's a terrible guy who's burning in hell. But the reason why he was angry at the United States was because for 10 straight years throughout the 1990s, we were involved, and this is the truth, in a lot of useless proxy wars over there. We were bombing a bunch of Arab countries and Muslim-speaking countries and doing this and trying to overthrow that and this and that, whatever it is. A lot of it happened under Bill Clinton, right? And his big demand was he did it because the U.S. would not withdraw, U.S. troops from Arab-speaking soil. Now, again, that's not me here to defend or rationalize him, but it is to say that, yes, when you have this imperialist foreign policy that the United States did before and after, the reason I'm bringing this up is to make a comparative argument that we are actually very lucky that some disgruntled Iraqi didn't do that again. We're very lucky, actually, when you really think about it. We're lucky that, because George Bush also wanted to invade Iran, by the way, we're lucky some disgruntled Iranian didn't try to do the same thing again, right? It's like, if you don't want to see another incident like that, obviously, go after the bad guys, take out Osama, put down a statement. Yeah, you're not going to mess with the United States like that. I'm not arguing that. But at the same time, our foreign policy leaders should have had, again, to make sure that something like that does not happen again, should have had a little bit of introspection to think, okay, we need to take out the people who did this. Then at the same time, what is it that really caused this, right? And then when you constantly go and provoke a bunch of crazy people, in other parts of the world, eventually you're going to get into this tennis match of bombing each other. You know what I mean? That is obviously a bad thing. But again, what did we do? What did the government do? The exact opposite of this. Okay? And that is my central point, is that I think, on one hand, we shouldn't forget. We should always commemorate and remember the heroism and the lives lost. But on the other hand, we need to be able to have kind of the intellectual maturity and honesty to not pretend, to not still sell, which I still see a lot of people do, not still talk like, it's George Bush at the end of 2001 again. You know what I'm saying? So that's my overall take on this day. You guys can let me know what you think in the live chat and all of that. But let's take a look here at our super chats. Robert Sparkman for $1. Thank you very much. Does not send a message, but just sends $1. I appreciate it. Christopher for $10. Thank you very much. Christopher says, I was in pre-K during 9/11, but as years go on, I feel like the day has been tainted by many things since then. The Iraq War, the Patriot Act, and of course, the 1/6 comparisons to persecute their own. Well, yeah, exactly. And again, we should remember, right, the very national security state that has been used now since was constructed in the wake of what? Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, there's absolutely something to be said about that. The memory of the day has been tainted because, unlike with World War II in Pearl Harbor, instead of a triumphant victory over the terror that we certainly could have had, right, nothing was truly stopping us, what did we get? Lies, deception, excuses for power grabs, whatever it is. And frankly, you had the most united America has been in several decades. You know, as I am told, America was like on September 12th, 2001. You took that, and instead of using it to obviously take out the bad guys and restore the country we once had and all of that, but then to make it better, to use that unity to move our country forward into even more greatness and all of that, you know. We do the opposite. We squander it. Selfish politicians instead use the situation to solidify their own power and ability to do corrupt things, and basically, in the end, loot the country, loot the republic of our rights, our money, our dignity, our national spirit, right? It should make you angry. And you are right, it should make the memory of the day feel very hollow or tainted in a way, because it's true. These things did happen. It's not convenient that it happened. I don't like talking about it. I'd much rather just tell a triumphant story of American heroism over radical terror, but that's just not what happened. It's true. Thank you for the $10, Christopher, and it is very true. All right, that said, ladies and gentlemen, just one last point I wanted to bring up on this front, and I just saw this on Twitter today and thought it was interesting, but it also does show you, like, one of the many ways we screwed up, you know, as I shouldn't say we, that our leaders screwed up in the wake of 9/11 was this right here. I think it's all symbolized in many ways by the replacement of the World Trade Center. So if you know anything about the history here, I actually just learned about this today. Apparently, Donald Trump back then wanted to rebuild the Twin Towers, right? Because if you're familiar, now in New York City, you look at the skyline, they have this, frankly, I'm going to be real, it's a pretty ugly building called the One World Trade Center, and that's kind of like this modernist, you know, contemporary style building that replaced the Twin Towers. And Donald Trump said, to heck with that, right? Why should we build a new tower in its place? Because in many ways, and this is the point I want to bring up, the fact that we did build a new and different World Trade Center does kind of prove the point that we did let 9/11 change us as a country, right? Everyone always says 9/11 changed everything. And obviously, you know, there were some aspects that were never going to be the same, including the lives of those very people. But the point I think I'm making here is that, you know, going forward, again, largely because we let it, right? Our leaders especially let this happen. We no longer were the America of old. And the America we've become since then, again, this was optional. We did not have to go down this route. But the America we've become since then, obviously, as many of you are aware, is dysfunctional. It is a disaster. It is, you know, declining. It's a dying empire in so many ways. And I think the greatest symbolism of that, and again, the fact that we let 9/11 change us, change who we are, which we shouldn't have done. We should have said, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. We're still Americans. This is our way. This is what we do. You're not going to take this from us, right? But of course, what do? We build a totally new and different World Trade Center. Well, Donald Trump back in 2001 was actually saying the opposite of that. He was saying, no, we should rebuild the Twin Towers as a monument to America, basically saying, again, right, you are not going to do this to us. You're not going to take our way of life from us. We are just going to rebuild the same thing. You knock it down, we're going to do it again, right? We're going to build the Twin Towers again. And, you know, this I tweeted out today, and this is true. I said, Trump was right. We should have rebuilt the Twin Towers where they stood in rebellion, a sign that 9/11 wouldn't change us, but it did change us. We let it change us for the worst. And, you know, that's very true. That's very true. Again, folks, it didn't have to be this way. It especially didn't have to be this way if selfish politicians and leaders at the time did not exploit the day to promote things that they wanted, i.e. the war in Iraq, i.e. the national security surveillance state that was built since. But they did. Right? Ultimately, you know, when you really think about it, it is not the terrorists who changed America forever on 9/11. Because as Donald Trump shows here in this very picture, which, you know, he's always gotten it, has he not? He's always been about it. But as Donald Trump shows you in this very picture, it did not have to be that they changed us. Obviously, right, you know, some things are different. But we could have simply rebuilt, built back, not built back better, but you know what I mean. Made America great again, right? But instead, our politicians, because they wanted to use the day as a chance to exploit it and, again, do all these things they wanted, we in the end did let 9/11 change us. And, you know, it's a sad situation. It is. And Trump here, it's crazy. I actually just found out about this today, but, you know, that got me thinking. Yeah, he got it. He understood. He understood. But other people didn't. Other people didn't. All right, that said, folks, let me see. I believe we're all caught up on Super Chats. By the way, folks, again, as usual, if you would like to Super Chat to support the show tonight, feel free to do so. And if you have thoughts on this entire discussion, we are open, folks. But that said, folks, let us move on a little bit here with our stories to discuss. Well, I guess in a way, there is a central theme, is it not? Which is the political class in our country using crisis, genuine crisis, right? We're genuine. I'm not denying that the crisis is real, but exploiting crisis as a means not to actually fight the crisis, but to instead destroy the American way of life, American liberty, all of that stuff, under the false pretense of fighting this crisis. We have similar news. This actually happened on Friday's show. This broke during Friday's show. I didn't find out until afterwards. But the Democrat governor of New Mexico has basically suspended the Second Amendment. So she's banning constitutional carry in her state for 30 days because of a crime spike in Albuquerque, right? So because crime and gun violence has been going up in New Mexico, she has responded by banning concealed and open carry, both which I believe are legal in the state, and now saying you can't carry a gun in New Mexico. Take a listen.
Yeah. But your point is valid.
You took an oath to the Constitution. Isn't it unconstitutional to say you cannot exercise your carry license?
With one exception, and that is if there's an emergency, and I've declared an emergency for a temporary amount of time, I can invoke additional powers. No constitutional right, in my view, including my oath, is intended to be absolute. There are restrictions on free speech. There are restrictions on my freedoms. In this emergency, this 11-year-old and all these parents who have lost all these children, they deserve my attention to have the debate about whether or not in an emergency we can create a safer environment. Because what about their constitutional rights? I took an oath to uphold those too. And if we
Okay, yes, there are quote-unquote restrictions on free speech, but those have to do with permanent restrictions on free speech in the sense that, yeah, you can't incite violence, you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. Now, they did do this during the Civil War, so I guess she does have a point, but theoretically, at least, you cannot, just because... Let's actually use the example. Just because there is a quote-unquote hate speech epidemic in America does not mean you can suspend the First Amendment. But according to her, she claims that you can. So very interesting,
We
right?
ignore this growing problem without being bold. I've said to every other New Mexican, your rights are subrogated to theirs. And they are not, in my view.
Wait a minute, you're talking about crimes. There are already laws against the crimes, so how are their rights?
I got it, but
Correct.
again, if I'm unsafe, who's standing up for that right? If this climate is so out of control, somebody should do
Deflection
something.
doesn't answer the question.
I'm doing as much as I know to do.
Madam Governor,
Yep.
do you really think that criminals are going to hear this message and not carry a gun
Exactly.
in Albuquerque on the streets for 30 days?
No. But here's what I do think. It's a pretty resounding message.
It's a pretty resounding message that what? It's a pretty resounding message that, hey, nobody's carrying a gun. You hear that, criminals? You hear that? And that's the other part of this, right? Is obviously, yes, she is a tyrant and it is insane. And I don't want to downplay that, right? It is insane that you can basically just apparently suspend the Constitution, suspend the Second Amendment because of a quote unquote emergency that you subjectively declare without even the approval of the state legislature. You as the governor of a state can just basically say, okay, no Second Amendment for 30 days. But then that's the other idiotic part about it is, so apparently criminals, according to her, and this is always their logic around concealed carry, are just, oh, wow. You know, I'm about to be a criminal. I'm about to go do whatever they're going to do, right? Rob someone, shoot someone, whatever it is. Suddenly, all things which are illegal. But suddenly now, because there's a governor statute for 30 days saying I cannot carry a gun around to commit the crime, they're just going to stop doing that, right? They're totally just gonna stop doing it. And that's why she says, oh, it's going to send a message. Send the message, oh, we're really serious about fighting crime. You want to send a message that you're serious about fighting crime? You know, if you want to use any like big government tactic, whatever you want to call it, then declare martial law, okay? Send in the National Guard, send in the military to patrol the crime-ridden areas of cities, which is honestly is probably something we should do, and do it that way, right? Because that's how you actually send the message to the criminals. But she's not trying to send the message to the criminals. Much like the theme we brought up earlier, she obviously doesn't like guns, doesn't like the Second Amendment, doesn't want people to have them, and then now is going to use the actions of a bunch of criminals who are not going to listen to her statute anyway as an excuse to go after the normal, law-abiding, patriotic Americans who do have those things. Sound familiar? Sound a lot like what we talked about in the beginning of the show? Yeah. I don't know. Got a lot of scummy politicians in America these days, don't we? All right, that said, folks, let us get caught up here with our super chats. We got $10 from, I don't know how to say this guy's name. Ibianu for $10. Thank you very much. Ifiani. He doesn't send a message. Is that an African name? I don't even know where that name is from, but I appreciate it very much. Ifiani, thank you for the $10. I appreciate it. Oops, no rights anymore. Sorry. Yeah. It is a pretty concerning precedent, you know, that because you think it's not just the fact that, oh, they're shutting down constitutional carry or concealed carry or the Second Amendment, gun control, whatever. It's the fact that she literally just declared an emergency and said no more Second Amendment as a governor, you know. The state legislature didn't even vote on it. Nobody did. No bureaucracy even decided it with her. She just straight up said, nope, no more Second Amendment. Okay. All right. Dollar for $2 says bearded Doyle greater than shaven Doyle. Same for Vince. Huge. This is very real. I feel like I look like a finance bro today. Like the slicked hair and the kind of mini mullet going on in the back, which you can't really see because of the headphones. But yeah. I feel, don't you guys feel, I feel like I got the Wall Street look today or something. About to go crazy on stocks. I don't know. Jordan Belfort, whatever. Of course not. No. I would not commit financial crimes. I disavow financial crimes. All right, dollar for $2. Thank you very much. Says, my goal is to be the pilot in Trump Force One. Thank you for the $2, dollar for dollar. Well, I mean, realistically though, you got a narrowing window there. Okay, so you're only gonna get that for another 5 or so years, right? So be sure to you gotta get practicing with the airliners first. But yeah, thank you for the $2, dollar for dollar. I appreciate it very much. Cherish Beloved says, how is college going? It is indeed going. That's all I have to say about it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm so mentally done with school. Like, I guess I enjoy the quote-unquote experience, some of the people and stuff, but the mundane task of learning things that I know are not going to help me in my life, including things for my very major, which are also stupid. I know I'm only 20, about to be 21 in a couple months, I guess, yeah, something like that. But I'm so over that. I'm sick of learning mundane nonsense that quote unquote teaches you how to think. All right, now when I was in high school and stuff, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed like chemistry and all this crap. But I'm mentally exhausted from it now. It's too much. I can barely do it anymore to get up to know and learn some crap that I know is useless, that I know is not going to make me any money, that's not going to get me anywhere, that's not going to help me literally do anything besides pass an exam. I don't know. I'm getting too old for it. I don't know what to say. So it's, the good news is I don't have to pay for college. In fact, I get paid for college. So I guess it's kind of like going to work in a sense, but man, it's wearing on me. It really is. The process of learning frivolous nonsense for no reason. I don't know how I did it for so many years. I did that for 12 years of my life. I don't know. Maybe it's partially because I do make my own money now, and I make I'd say an A living. I wouldn't say it's a fantastic living, but the fact that I make one at all, and then you do this school thing that's like, why are you even doing this? What is this for? What is the point of this? It's demoralizing. It wears on you. So we're trying our best. All right. Shout out to the friends and the social stuff and the people we know, because that's the only thing, still keeping me in it. But the mundane process of school, I can't do it. Parents are my mom, I should say, is like, oh, you should go to law school, you should do this. And it's like, you don't get it. I cannot do school anymore. Like, literally, I cannot do it anymore, I'm at the point where I'm sick of learning stuff and want to start doing stuff, you know what I mean? And I think once you kind of cross that wall, cross that point, for a very long time, except for the people who like get degrees in their 40s because, oh, I want to stop doing this or that and I want to go back to school, whatever. Besides those people, really, I think once you cross that point in life, you can't go back. And I feel like I have crossed that point, and I got a year and a half, I guess, close to 2 years left of school. Okay, fine. After that, we're done. We are done. It's not happening, and this is very real. Dollar for $2 says LSU shouldn't be ranked lower than Bama. For real. I don't know about that. Because, I guess they should be pretty even. But LSU gave up against Florida State in the second half. And Bama didn't do that. So I think that's a distinction. So I don't know. They definitely are. It's going to be a good game. They're probably close right now in terms of the rankings. But I think I would put Bama 1 or 2 spots above LSU. I would. Tell you the truth, I would. But anyways, college rankings are pretentious BS. Very true. Although, just to dunk on their pretentious BS, according to the Wall Street Journal, Okay, folks, I don't know if you heard the news. The University of Florida, where I go, as of this week, according to the Wall Street Journal, is the #1 public university. So there you go. There you go. Wow. Vince, you go to UF? You're stupid. That's a stupid school. Unironically, stuff I was told in high school. And I was like, okay, but we don't have to wear masks at our school, and we don't have to take that thing. So, and you do. So, like, stay mad. Stupid, pretentious, snarky, not even always liberal. Sometimes even just the snobby Republican types. It's like, okay, we all took the SAT. I got the highest score in the grade level. Are we really gonna do this whole, but I go to Stanford, I go to Berkeley. That makes me better than you. Yeah, it makes you better than me, the kid who always got higher test scores than you in high school. Like, give me a break. But it is true. Yeah, they are indeed pretentious BS. I'm not gonna say it doesn't matter at all, but to a large degree, it does not matter. I would say at 95% does not matter. Very true. Small grading guy for $2 says A&M should be #1 sign. A&M should be #1 sign Jimbo to a 50-year contract. This is so true. Okay, this is so true. Texas A&M, the best team in the whole sport. Okay, they all fear A&M. Okay, when everyone says we want Bama, you know that chant, it's actually mispronounced. They're actually saying we want Texas A&M, but it comes out mispronounced. In all honesty, I was surprised by that game. I think that more than anything, even more than last year, that should be the proof that Jimbo just is, he can't be there anymore. Because what's the excuse this year? Okay, last year, our offense wasn't in the right scheme. We had the #1 recruiting class just got there. Okay, well, this is year 2 of them now. You've been recruiting pretty solidly for a few years now. Plus Miami, it's only year 2 under Cristobal, okay? All those new 5 stars they brought in, sure, but they're all freshmen. They're freshmen, okay? A&M had way more talent on Miami than that field, and yet they got run up and down the field. No excuses anymore. No excuses anymore. Although I think people were wearing on them anyway. But this is very true. Yeah, sign Jimbo Fisher to a 50-year contract.
Oh, yeah.
I 100% agree. All right, well, folks, let's get back to our scheduled programming here. We got to react to this video. I'm not even going to give it context. We just need to play it. Okay, as you can see on the text, Asians, you guys are black and have black ancestry. So true. All right, let's take a listen here.
Okay, I just want to make this little video today because it's a little concerning. I'm seeing a lot of anti-blackness in general, like a lot of anti-blackness from the Asians, okay? You know, they're talking about Asian hate, but I think it's more like black hate, okay? And I just want to point something out that, you know, the original Japanese was black. Right here, here's a picture. These are clearly African features on these indigenous people. And the story goes that in 25 BC, a ship from Africa, from a Hukong Kinte, who was one of the African kings of Ghana, sailed the ship all the way from Ghana, and he got lost. He was trying to explore the new world, and he ended up in Japan. So in Japan, they made a colony, and it was the
This is so historical, by the way. You know, I learned this in school. You guys just not learn this in school? There's actually peer-reviewed history about all of this. You've never seen the History Channel documentary on this? Yeah.
first Japanese Afro colony in the world. So these Afro-Ghanaians, they started interbreeding with the Japanese women. And
true.
So they created the first black Japanese population. So if we use the 1-drop rule, according to now, the calculation would be that actually Japanese is around 45 to 65% black. So I just wanted to let y'all know and give y'all a little history lesson to correct it, because United States schools don't show this, but a lot of Japanese carry the black gene, and so do China. So these Chinese and Asians, we should be supporting each other, because Chinese are black, Japanese are black, and the whole Asia is black.
So let's keep track, actually. Wait, hold on. Really quickly first. Someone said in chat. Who said it? I think it was Yeah. Small Grading Guy says there's no way this isn't satire. What do you mean it's satire, Small Grading Guy? This is a completely serious video. How dare you not take it seriously? You are just downplaying my heritage as an African-American black person. Okay? I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate you making claiming that my real ancestry is satirical. Okay? We just had a shocking discovery here, folks. Okay? You know, my whole life, I always knew something was missing. I knew something was missing from the family tree, right? I'd say, hey, Mom, Dad, where are we from? And they'd tell me, oh, you know, part of the family's from Vietnam, and then you have this half from Italy, and this Chinese missionary actually came to Italy, so you're part Chinese too. And I was like, you know, there's a missing link there, though. I feel like something's not right. Something is strange. Something doesn't connect. And all along, I've been blown away. Okay? It's a life-altering event of me finding out the missing link all along was that I was black. And Small Grading Guy says what? That the video is satire? Are you saying that this is not real? Are you saying that random tribesmen from Ghana, which I believe is on the west coast of Africa, according to the chat, sailed all the way to Japan? Are you saying that's satire? Are you saying that's misinformation, that's not real? Are you also making the racist, bigoted claim that Africans in the 13th century did not have the technology to circumnavigate halfway across the world and end up in Japan? Are you making the racist claim that that's not historically accurate? Some people, gee whiz. All right, anyways, with that said, back to the point I was going to bring up here. So we got the running list of everything that's secretly black, okay? Because the very famous one, as you know, is that the Israelites, that the original Old Testament Jews were actually black. You know about that claim, so there we go. Okay, let's start with that one. All right, Israelites were actually black, all right? And then, of course, we got the Egyptians. All right, so Egyptians, you've heard that one. Those are the two most common ones you hear, right? The black people were the real Israelites. Black people were the real Egyptians. I've heard some crazier ones recently, though. I don't know if you guys have heard this. I think even Tariq Nasheed promoted this one, that the Native Americans were actually black. Now, of course, all of these questions, all this stuff should beg the question, where did the black people go, right? If the Native Americans are black, why are they not black, right? You know, I understand, okay, you Israelites, you want to talk about the diaspora, I should say, okay, fine. Egyptians, where are, I don't know. But you also you heard this one. I heard recently that Germans, apparently Germany, was actually black. Of course, the Romans, I've heard that one as of recently. The Romans were black. The Turks, right, the Ottomans and Anatolians, those were black. And then now we have the running list here, the Chinese and the Japanese. Okay, so the Asians, apparently I also am black. So I guess you learn something new every day. You learn something new. Everyone to ever exist in human history is actually black. Okay? Except, no, actually everyone was black. So there you go. I guess you learn something new every day. And this is certainly news to me. And I will be internalizing this. And you know, this is historic. And of course, I can't believe some people out here saying it's satirical or the theory doesn't make sense that Africans sailed. Actually, they probably just swam, okay? They actually swam, according to the theory. They swam from Ghana to the island of Japan. And you guys say it's not real. You guys say it's a joke video. Unbelievable. I can't believe we have so many racists in our fan base that, you know, believe history. Okay? Unbelievable. All right, let's get to our super chats here. Dollar for $2 says FSU was ranked higher than Texas. Saban is washed. Thank you for the $2, dollar for dollar. I mean, I'm one of the biggest Nick Saban defenders that there is, but I definitely, at this point, this is 3 straight years where Bama's just not looked like Bama. So I do think he's going to win one national title before he retires, but you are kind of right to a degree. I do think the Alabama standard overall is starting to slip. That has to be true. Burgundy Blue for $2 says this has to be a parody done by a racist white guy. No, it's not. I'm so tired of this accusation. Okay? You know what? Just for that, we're going to watch the video again. We're going to watch the video again just so Burgundy Blue can absorb the history for himself. Because clearly, the first time he didn't get it. Okay? So we're gonna watch this again, and we're going to make Burgundy Blue learn the real history of my people. Okay,
I just want to make this little video today because it's a little concerning. I'm seeing a lot of anti-blackness in general. Like a lot of anti-blackness from the Asians. Okay? You know, they're talking about Asian hate, but I think it's more like black hate. Okay? And I just want to point something out that, you know, the original Japanese was black. Right here. Here's a picture. These are clear.
You guys taking notes, Burgundy Blue? Since the first time we played it went over your head, I think you should be taking notes this time and listening very carefully, okay?
Really African features on these indigenous people. And the story goes that in 25 BC, a ship from Africa, from a...
Oh, wait, I wasn't even 25 BC. Burgundy Blue, are you claiming that Africans did not have the technology in 25 BC to go to Japan? Unbelievable. Can't believe you have such a racist, Eurocentric view of history that you don't believe that was possible.
Count Kinte, who was one of the African kings of Ghana, sailed the ship all the way from Ghana, and he got lost. He was trying to explore the new world, and he ended up in Japan. So in Japan, they made a colony, and it was the first Japanese.
By the way, how can you deny this photograph? Look at the clear photographic historical evidence right here. Okay? Look at that photograph. You're gonna argue against this photograph? It speaks for itself.
Afro colony in the world.
This is like the Rosetta Stone right here. This is bigger than the Rosetta Stone. This is the Rosetta Boulder, frankly.
So these Afro-Ghanaians, they started interbreeding with the Japanese women. And so they created the first black Japanese population. So if we use the one drop rule, according to now, the calculation would be that actually Japanese is around 45 to 65% black. So I just want to let y'all know and give y'all a little history lesson to correct it, because United States schools don't show this, but a lot of Japanese carry the black gene, and so do China. So these Chinese and Asians, we should be supporting each other, because Chinese are black, Japanese are black, and the whole Asia is black.
Did you pay attention, Burgundy Blue? Because if you do not internalize it, I will make the class watch it for a third time. So I surely hope that he has. This is real history. This is what they ain't teach you in school. Just saying. Learn your history. Get your education. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. All right. Let's continue on here with our super chats. Small Graydon guy for $2 says, prove that you're black. Say the word. Do you mean neighbor? I say the word neighbor all the time. I don't know why you think I would not say that word. I say the word neighbor all the time. So thank you for the $2, Small Graydon guy. But I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay. Burgundy Blue for another $2 says, never mind. I now know we had photography in 25 BC. There you go, Burgundy Blue. Get your education. Okay? You don't have no education. So you got to get your education. This is just so true. Thank you for the $2 Burgundy Blue. I appreciate it very much. And see, there we go. See, you need to all be thanking Burgundy Blue because he saved you all, class, from having to watch that video a third time. Because if he didn't, if he did not save you all by acknowledging his privilege and you know, getting his education, then I would have made you all watch this very important, historically accurate video for a third time. But because he didn't, we will move on here to some of our final stories of the night. But, you know, frankly, maybe we should revisit that in the super chats because I feel like I said, it's just among some of the most important videos ever made. Bigger than the Rosetta Stone, frankly. We got to talk about this really quickly. So, RFK Jr. tweeted out something today that I thought, well, let's read it first. It says, the White House accidentally sent $6 billion to Ukraine, but pennies for Hawaii. And this is him retweeting a Joe Rogan clip of Tulsi Gabbard and Joe talking about the fact that, you know, the Maui survivors have basically gotten nothing. I believe the amount they've gotten from the federal government is $700. So these people have to rebuild their entire homes worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, oftentimes millions of dollars in Maui. And, you know, as everyone is familiar, $700 is all they got. At the same time, Ukraine gets how much? You all understand that by now. The reason I'm tweeting this out is because it does say a lot. You know, RFK, obviously he has good takes on some things, but at the end of the day, he's a liberal. He's a Democrat. He's on the other side. I would never vote for him in a primary election ever. But how many Republicans would tweet this? Ask yourself that question. This is the reason I'm bringing this up, okay? Obviously, it's cool. He's taking a shot at Biden. He's saying something we agree with. I get it. Okay, whatever. RFK does say things we sometimes agree with. It is what it is. How many Republicans would write this tweet? Mike Pence says this is a false dichotomy. That's literally what he says. We've heard him speak on this channel. He says, that's a false dichotomy. We can help Ukraine and America at the same time. Chris Christie wouldn't tweet this. Much of the Senate and House GOP, as basic and as milquetoast as this take is, would not point out that the federal government has done more, way more, to help Ukraine. We accidentally sent $6 billion, which is probably more than enough to rebuild all of those homes. But again, the residents of Maui are each getting $700. And it takes RFK Jr., a Democrat, to be one of the few political figures in this country willing to say that. Get it together, GOP. Seriously, get it together. Because, like I said, the fact that so few Republicans would tweet this, and I was thinking about that today, not a good look for the party. And this should be, by the way, this is easy political points. Don't tell me it's unelectable or unpopular. It's easy. The Maui thing with Biden is one of his biggest mishandlings ever. It is making him look bad. Most Americans think it's a bad look. But instead of using that, even in a totally sociopathic political sense, instead of bringing that up, the Republicans, A, are not proposing any help for Maui, and then B, not pointing out even what RFK is, that Biden, you keep asking us for all this Ukraine money. Very recently, he's asking for even more emergency funding to Ukraine and nothing for Hawaii. So, you know, it is true. We have a lot of Republicans in this country who, well, you know the story. You know what a uniparty is. I don't need to tell you that again. But all right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is about 9 o'clock. We did pretty well on time tonight, so we will move on fully chat for the next 10 to 15 or so minutes to our super chat / Q&A portion. So, folks, as usual, if you got questions, comments, anything you want read and answered on the show, feel free to do so via these super chats. I am reading them all tonight, and we are open for our Q&A portion. So, with that said, folks, let's get into this. Did I start saying that? One YouTuber I've been watching says that, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should say that. He's like, with that said, let's get into this. He always goes crazy. Should I do that? Should I become a let's get into this guy? Let me know. Let me know. If Asians are black, does that mean Jackie Chan is? Thank you for the $2, Brandon Gross. I mean, you needed proof of that? Have you seen Rush Hour? Jackie Chan obviously is black. So I don't know why you needed proof of that, but there you go. There you go. Thank you for the $2. Yes, that does indeed mean that Jackie Chan is black. Okay? If you're confused, we can watch the video one more time. Okay? The Surfing Cowboy, just let me know, okay? Because I'm more than happy to educate everyone here. So if we need to sit here and watch the video one more time because anyone in chat doesn't understand it, I'm happy to do so. Happy to do so. So, just let me know. If anyone's confused, just let me know. Hey, Vince, I'm confused. I'm confused. Oh, here's another one. Wait, we found, okay, here you go. It says, did you know that the world's first aircraft carrier, Japan's Hosho, was designed by a black man? The Japanese executed him once he handed over the designs and reverse engineered it. Did you guys know that, chat? Wow. I didn't. I got my education, but even I didn't know this. Even I didn't know this. So, chat, did you know that? The world's first aircraft carrier for Japan was designed by a black man? This, of course, adds to everything, right? It's a common theme in history of, other races taking black people's accomplishments. So, obviously, the world's first aircraft carrier in Japan was designed by a black man. The light bulb was actually designed by a black man. The airplane, everything. Okay. And this is just what you don't learn in history class. You just can you believe the school system doesn't tell you this? Insane. Brandon Gross says, Vince, I swear if you kill my brain cells with that video again, I'm unsubbing. What do you mean kill your brain cells, you racist? What do you mean? I'm trying to enrich everyone with the important knowledge of real history. And you say I'm killing your brain cells? Okay? I'm not trying to kill anyone's brain cells. I'm trying to enlighten everyone. All right? We're trying to expand your mind by learning new history. Okay? The history of old is a lie. Do you not know? I'm here to teach new history. All right? The history they hid from us. Like the fact that the first aircraft carrier in the world was designed by a black man. Okay? This is real history. All right, Burgundy Blue for $5 says, wait, I thought the Japanese were black, so this is black on black crime. Thank you for the $5. You hate to see it. You truly do hate to see it, but it is true. Yes. That is indeed true. That is indeed true. They were doing it to their own. Unbelievable. Corrupt. And they didn't want to give this black man the credit he deserved for designing the world's first aircraft carrier. Okay? Brandon Gross says Vince can't even take this seriously with a straight face. My face is very straight. I'm smiling and laughing out of sheer happiness that the genetic link of my past has been solved. Okay? You never just laugh because you're just so happy that you've learned the truth. That's why you're like, Vince, why are you laughing? I'm not laughing because I think the video is satire. I take the video 100% seriously. I am laughing, chat. I am laughing because I am overdone with joy. Okay? That I have found the missing link of my genetic heritage. All right? See, for a lot of you non-Asians, it's just not personal like it is for me. Okay, it's personal for me. I'm enlightened to know the history, to know the story of my people, to get my education, to become educated. And some of you downplay it by claiming that A, the world's first aircraft carrier was, again, laughing out of joy, was designed by a black okay? Y'all ignorant for real. So ignorant. Okay? I'm laughing at your ignorance. I'm not laughing because the video is ridiculous. I'm laughing because you are ignorant. Cleanse yourself of your ignorance by learning important historical information like this. Cleanse your mind of the Eurocentric narrative of history you learned about how Africans did not colonize Japan in 25 BC. Cleanse yourself of this. Literally. All right, Sheeny Beanie for $2 says, the first aircraft in the world was a black man. Thank you for the $2. Whoa, whoa. Thank you for the $2. That's all I'm going to say. That's of course not true. We black men designed it. Okay? That's not true at all. That's not true. All right? You're taking black men built the first aircraft in the world, but we did not. We were not the aircraft. We just built it. Right? So just clarification there. All right, Andrew M for $5 Canadian. Thank you very much. Andrew M says, wore my MAGA sweater here in Toronto, Canada. You'd be surprised how many young men liked my sweater and cheered me on. GOP must go after young men. This is again the point I've been trying to bring up, and it is so true. Toronto, Canada, right? As liberal a city as it gets, even young men there are saying, yeah, there you go, man. We love it. All right? You got to get all these people voting. I'm telling you, our generation has a lot of hope if we just get this together. And also if we just learn real history like this you see right here. But also if we get that together. So true. Thank you for the $5. Andrew M, I appreciate it very much. Small Graydon guy for $2 says, I think we need to watch it again. They don't know. Do we need to watch it again? Small Graydon guy is saying we need to watch it again, chat. All right? Now, I don't want to overdo it. But if we need to be re-educated again, then we will be re-educated again. So, you got me thinking here, Small Graydon guy. Sheeny Beanie for $5 says the aircraft carrier thing is a fact. I'm not reading the rest of that. Thank you for the $5 Sheeny Beanie. I appreciate it. But yeah, we are. Thank you for the $5. Thank you for the $5. Please don't. Everyone's saying don't watch it again. Well, why do you want me to not want to watch it again? I hope you don't want me to watch it again because you have been educated and you're just like, I already know. I already took all the notes. I don't need to learn again. I hope that's the reason why. I hope it's not because you're being an ignorant racist who's claiming that the video is stupid or false or ahistorical. Okay? All right. California conservative says the best birthday gift you could give me is me not playing that video again. Okay, maybe, but guys, Small Graydon guy sent $2. Okay? You know? So he kind of bought the airwaves right now. He's bidding for the airwaves. Okay? So it is tempting. You know, he did request it. He said the people need to be educated again. All right? And what am I, if nothing else, besides a man of the people with the money? The man of the people with the money. So I don't know. He's making the case that we need a more useful, important education. All right? He's making the argument. And look, if nothing else, I'm a teacher. I love teaching. I love the thought and the feeling of enlightening people's minds with new information. So I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah, I just want to make this little video today.
Okay, I'm more than happy to do it. All right, so you know, maybe before we end the stream, we'll sit down and watch it one more time. Okay. I think we have to. I think we have to. For the purpose of the education. For the purpose of the education. Okay? Dollar for $2 says pilots are based in right wing, believe it or not. Well, I believe that 100%. Like, I cannot even imagine doing the act of flying, being a pilot, and not being a right winger. It seems like one of the most just inherently, factually right wing things there can be. But thank you for the $2. I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like, Maverick is not voting for Democrats. Okay? This is very true. This is very true. Vince, you're a man of awesomeness. Well, thank you, Anna. I appreciate that. See, Chaotic Antifreeze says we need to be educated. See? See, someone gets it. Someone has asked to become educated. All right? You've asked to become educated. So here's what I'll do. All right? Last call for super chats. We're going to end the show at about 9:15. So last call for super chats. Any last super chats you want to send in, feel free to do so. But if not, then I will just do everyone the public service of educating them with the Rosetta Boulder of history. Okay? So like I said, last call for super chats, but if not, we will end the stream here with all of your education. So dollar for $2 says to be a pilot for an airline requires delayed gratification. Well, that's not even the reason why I would argue being a pilot is right wing. I think it's just there's something about the masculine drive to take a risk and explore the skies and to, fly at the angel altitude. I feel like that's what it is for me. But obviously that too, it does require delayed gratification. Gianna says, Vince, I'm gonna get Cash App and donate, bro. I know anime words. Nani. Doesn't Nani mean like what or something? Or does it mean no? I don't even know what it means. Because I'm not an anime head. Okay? Despite my rich heritage of this right here, I'm not familiar with anime. So, this is true. Ron Jones says, it's my 4-year anniversary of moving away from the big city. Well, we love to hear it, Ron Jones. Appreciate it very much. And, yeah, I'm sure you're very happy. All right. That said, folks, we got no more super chats. I don't believe we do. All right. We got no more super chats. And I am going to fulfill the request here of Small Grading Guy and Chaotic Antifreeze with the education that some of you ignorant, racist bigots need to hear. Listen up. Okay? Listen up. You paying attention? Not hitting play I have your full attention. All right. Letitia Jones, 1994, take it away.
Okay, I just want to make this little video today because it's a little concerning. I'm seeing a lot of anti-blackness in general. Like a lot of anti-blackness from the Asians. Okay? They're talking about Asian hate, but I think it's more like black hate. Okay? And I just want to point something out that, the original Japanese was black. Right here, here's a picture. These are clearly African features on these indigenous people. And the story goes that in 25 BC, a ship from Africa, from a Hukong Kinte, who was one of the African kings of Ghana, sailed the ship all the way from Ghana, and he got lost. He was trying to explore the new world, and he ended up in Japan. So in Japan, they made a colony, and it was the first Japanese Afro colony in the world. So these Afro-Ghanaians, they started interbreeding with the Japanese women. And so they created the first black Japanese population. So if we use the one drop rule, according to now, the calculation would be that actually Japanese is around 45 to 65% black. So I just wanted to let y'all know and give y'all a little history lesson to correct it, because United States schools don't show this, but a lot of Japanese carry the black gene, and so do China. So these Chinese and Asians, we should be supporting each other, because Chinese are black, Japanese are black, and the whole Asia is black.
So true. So true. Brandon Gross for $5 says, Vince, if you're black, how come you won't speak for Asian Lives Matter? Don't play the video again. No, Brandon Gross, I played the video because I do speak for my Afrikanese people. Okay? And I feel like it is necessary as an Afrikanese person to teach everyone the history, to enlighten you all with the story of my people that they've tried to suppress for so long. And this is very important. This is very important. All right? Burgundy Blue, last super chat of the night probably, but Burgundy Blue, big super chat for $20, says that the U.S. S-worded Pearl Harbor just like the Gulf of Tonkin. They had to do it so they could stop the intersectional diverse people's empire of Japan that tried to liberate Asia from American European domination / colonization. You know, Burgundy Blue, I think you're just missing one detail there, which is that Japan, the word quote-unquote Japan, is Americanized whitewash history. The proper term is Afrikanese. Okay, but this is true. This is true. They made that all happen, the embargo, all of it, because they wanted to stop the advance of the Afrikanese intersectional diverse empire that was going to liberate Asia. Okay? And they feared it. They feared it. This is true. This is true. All right, these should be the last super chats for tonight. Sheeny Beanie for $2 says, weeaboos culturally appropriate black culture. Thank you for the $2. It's true. It's true. Sheeny Beanie for another $2 says, wrong. I'm the last super chat. Well, there you go, Sheeny Beanie. All right, appreciate the super chats. Appreciate the support tonight, guys. Thank you to everyone who tuned into tonight's show. So, like I said last week, I'm probably going to change these streams to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday instead of every night of the week. But I'll let you know. Okay, so if nothing big in the news happens tomorrow, then we will see you live, same time, same place, Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Be sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and, make sure you're educated. We don't like ignorant bigots here. And until next time, folks, Alpha moves only. God bless. Have a very good night, and peace.
Okay, I just want to make this little video today because it's a little concerning. I'm seeing a lot of anti-blackness in general. Like a lot of anti-blackness from the Asians, okay? You know, they're talking about Asian hate, but I think it's more like black hate, okay? And I just want to point something out that, you know, the original Japanese was black. Right here, here's a picture. These are clearly African features on these indigenous people. And the story goes that in 25 BC, a ship from Africa, from a Hukong Kinte, who was one of the African Kangs of Ghana sailed the ship all the way from Ghana, and he got lost. He was trying to explore the new world, and he ended up in Japan. So in Japan, they made a colony, and it was the first Japanese Afro colony in the world. So these Afro-Ghanaians, they started interbreeding with the Japanese women. And so they created the first black Japanese population. So if we use the one drop rule, according to that, the calculation would be that actually Japanese is around 45 to 65% black. So I just wanted to let y'all know and give y'all a little history lesson to correct it, because United States schools don't show this, but a lot of Japanese carry the black gene, and so do China. So these Chinese and Asians, we should be supporting each other, because Chinese are black, Japanese are black, and the whole